Your garden doesn't need another bag of fertilizer, it needs life. If your soil feels flat, your plants look hungry, and you're tired of reapplying compost or expensive amendments, well, you're about to learn a method so effective it can transform dead, depleted ground into a thriving, living ecosystem in less than a week. This isn't theory, I've seen it happen firsthand, and once you understand how it works, you may never look at soil the same way again. The truth is, most of us focus on feeding plants instead of feeding the soil. Compost, teas, and fertilizers all provide nutrients, but they don't always address the bigger issue: biology. Soil isn't just a container for roots. It's a living, breathing community where bacteria, fungi, and other microbes create the conditions plants actually need to thrive. Without this living network, nutrients vanish quickly, structure collapses, and plants are forced to rely on whatever you dump in from the outside. That's why so many gardens constantly need more. Centuries ago, gardeners and farmers discovered a practice that didn't just feed plants, it revived soil from the inside out. Today we can call it fermented soil layering. By burying certain organic materials in the right order, then encouraging them to ferment naturally underground, you create the perfect microbial nursery. Instead of slowly composting on the surface, fermentation works faster because it happens in a moist, oxygen-balanced, protected zone right beneath your plants. Within days, microbial life explodes, fungi spread, and worms move in, bringing a new level of vitality to the soil. To start, choose a garden space that gets at least 6 hours of sun. You can do this in raised beds, containers, or directly in the ground. Clear a patch about 3 feet by 3 feet and dig down 6 inches, setting the topsoil aside. This shallow pit will act as the foundation for your microbial hub. The first layer is a base of small twigs and dried stems. Now, this may not look like much, but it's actually crucial. These woody materials, well, they hold pockets of air and keep the entire layer from collapsing into a suffocating mass. Over time, they break down slowly, giving long-term structure while preventing the process from turning anaerobic. Next, add unfinished compost, organic scraps that haven't fully decomposed. This can include things like vegetable peels, coffee grounds, and garden trimmings. This raw organic matter is what microbes will feast on, and it provides the carbon and nitrogen mix that fuels fermentation. Just make sure the layer is evenly spread and about 2 inches thick. Moisture is the key that activates fermentation. At this stage, pour over rice water, the starchy rinse water you get from washing rice before cooking. To make it correctly, rinse 1 cup of uncooked rice with 2 cups of water. Swirl until the water turns cloudy, then drain and save the liquid. For your soil layer, dilute this rice water with 2 additional cups of fresh water, making 4 cups in total, and sprinkle it evenly over the compost layer until it is damp but not soggy. So, this rice water is actually the most powerful ingredient in the formula because, well, it attracts lactobacillus bacteria, which are some of the fastest-acting microbial starters out there. Within just a few hours, these microbes start breaking down the organic matter, releasing compounds that, awaken dormant fungi and bacteria already present in your soil. Now go ahead and add a thin layer of leaf mold if you have it. It's basically just decomposed leaves collected from the forest floor, or maybe even your own yard. Honestly, even a handful is enough, since it acts like a fungal inoculant, introducing mycorrhizal fungi that build those important symbiotic relationships with plant roots. If leaf mold isn't available, you can just scoop a little rich soil from an older compost pile. This step really ensures that fungi are part of the process, not just bacteria. Finally, sprinkle in a small handful of crushed eggshells and about 2 tablespoons of wood ash. These help balance the pH and provide trace minerals like calcium and potassium, both essential for strong plant growth. Once the layers are all in place, gently return the original soil you dug out, cover the pit, and top it with mulch to protect it from drying out. The transformation, well, It begins almost immediately. Within 2 to 3 days, the soil above your layer will start to darken and loosen up. By the end of the week, when you dig a small hole to check on things, you'll notice warmth, a rich earthy smell, and even the early signs of fungal threads weaving their way through the mulch. If earthworms live in your area, they'll quickly move in, drawn by the microbial feast. Nearby plants will respond faster than you think. In my own garden, leafy greens that had been limp and pale perked up within 48 hours, showing brighter, larger leaves. A tomato seedling that had barely grown for 2 weeks suddenly shot up several inches in just 1 week. No fertilizer was added. The microbes did all the work, making nutrients available exactly where roots needed them. Traditional composting is wonderful, but it takes months before materials are stable enough to feed plants. The process also happens above ground, where heat, dryness, and exposure slow things down. Fermentation, on the other hand, is faster and more controlled. Underground, the environment stays moist, warm, and protected, which is exactly what microbes need to multiply. By building a fermented soil layer, you essentially create a slow-release underground engine that feeds your plants continuously without further input. For raised beds, you can prepare fermented soil layers before planting, or, dig a trench down the middle of an existing bed to create a microbial zone that spreads life to surrounding roots. In containers, simply use smaller amounts, layering closer to where the roots will grow. For in-ground gardens, try building circular fermented mounds between rows or at the base of fruit trees. Over time, each pocket acts like a microbial launch pad, spreading life outward and honestly improving your soil with every season. If rice water isn't available, you can substitute 1 tablespoon of plain unsweetened yogurt or, 2 tablespoons of diluted whey in 1 cup of water. Both provide lactic acid bacteria that start fermentation quickly. If you don't have leaf mold, simply add a scoop of rich soil from under an old tree or from a finished compost pile. What matters most is achieving balance. Carbon from woody materials, nitrogen from kitchen scraps, moisture from rice water or its substitute, and a good microbial starter. Since adopting this method, my garden has shifted from needy to nearly self-sustaining. I water less often, apply fertilizer almost never, and honestly, harvest more. The soil feels alive, crumbly, dark, and filled with worms. And instead of depending on store-bought inputs that wash away with the next rain, the life in the soil multiplies and grows stronger with time. If your garden feels tired, if your compost piles aren't giving you the results you want, or if you're simply ready to step away from the endless cycle of fertilizers, this ancient secret could change everything. Layer, cover, and wait. The microbes will take it from there. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Timeless Crops Haven and share this video with a friend who's been struggling with soil health. Together, we can bring gardens back to life, one microbe at a time.